Hello, hi. I'm going to reintroduce myself, Waawaate, because it's a different name. I'm Waawaate Fobister. I am an actor, a performer, a playwright, a dancer, choreographer, storyteller. I come from the Anishinaabe community, Grassy Narrows First Nation, which is in northwestern Ontario, which is about 1 hour north of Kenora. It's a small community. It's about 1,000 people isolated in the bush. So yeah, Waawaate. Waawaate is my spirit native name. It's also, I use it as my stage name and my name for today. And I got Waawaate pretty late, actually. I was 18. People usually get their native name, their Indian name, when they're like a baby. Pretty much the same time when you get like baptized. And that's what I did. I got baptized when I was a baby. And when I turned 18, I wanted to get more into my native spirituality. So I wanted to get my native name. And I was in Toronto, I was here, and I went to an elder that comes to the city every now and then, as a medicine woman, and who can give spirit names. So I went to her and I asked her if I presented her some tobacco as a gift, and because that's what we do, if she can find me my spirit name. And she says, yes, I can get you your spirit name. She said, just come back in a few weeks, we'll pray, and I'll try to find your name for you. I said, great. So a few weeks go by, and I come back and I go see her, and I ask her if she had found my spirit name. She says, yes, I have found your spirit name. And she says, I was looking for it, and when I saw it, I saw a dark sky, and I seen lights, and I seen dancing, and she's talking about the northern lights, the aurora borealis. So I just found that really interesting because for us, the northern lights represents spirits dancing and telling a story. And so for me, that just kind of clicked in, and I knew that was on my path, because I was already in theater school for my acting training. And so I knew this was the path that I needed to go. So my dad's been a storyteller, his dad was a storyteller, and so on for generations, storytellers. So I knew that's what I had to do, tell stories. And that's what the topic is here for today, telling very personal stories, and which is what I did last year. Exactly a year ago today, I wrote a play. I was in rehearsal for a play for my world premiere of my one-man show, starring me. So it was it's a one-man show that I wrote based on an event in my life that happened when I was a teenager. I was about 16, an event, and the play is called Agukwe, and the subtitle is Gay Love on the Res. Yes, I'm gay. So yes, the play, it was based on a true event that happened in my life, and it's about basically an infatuation that I had with this boy, another native boy, not necessarily on reserve, but in Kenora. And the play talks about two spirited people and versus today, and the society then and the society now. And two spirited people, I'll give you a nutshell what it is. It's pretty much a male spirit and a female spirit totally entwined in one body. And the two spirited people before colonization had responsibilities and roles in the Aboriginal communities. Instead of being extradited, they were being used. They had a female spirit and a male spirit, therefore they were more connected to the spirit world. Therefore they were more powerful, and therefore they had a stronger connection. So they were made medicine people and healers. So they had really important roles and responsibilities in our communities. So that's what my play was talked about versus today. And when I was in high school, I had a crush on this boy, and now we don't even talk about it. Like, I didn't even know about this idea then when I was a teenager. And I could not come out of the closet. It was because it's all homophobic, and it's really homophobic, and I couldn't say anything about my feelings about distraction for this boy. So anyway, I will tell you about my first moment of having that realization, or some sort of first realization. So I was in Kenora, right? Kenora is the hub of the town. There's a bunch of native reserves in the area. There's about 20. And every Friday, every payday, like, my parents would go to town to go get their groceries, banking, whatever, just to go a week's supply, because it's an hour away, so we come there every Friday. And so I go to Kenora, and I'm at the mall, and I'm walking by myself, and I walk in, and there's this boy standing there. And I walk in, and I feel these eyes on me. You know the feeling when the eyes are on you? And I kind of look, and he's still looking at me, and I look away because it's kind of awkward and weird. And then he's still looking, so I just look back, and we just kept our eyes locked together. And it was just weird and strange, but felt really good at the same time. And I never had felt these feelings before, and I was like, what is this? I mean, like, I'm looking at a guy, and he's kind of cute, and I kind of like it, and And so, and the whole day we're kind of following each other, kind of being creepy, following each other, but not really doing anything, because we're both in the closet and we don't want to say anything, because we shouldn't say it, because in today's society we can't do that, right? Up north. And so, and then I went home, and every Friday I wanted to go to Kenora and hopefully see him. And so every time my parents were going to go to town, they're like, "Oh, I'm going to town." I'd be like, "Oh, can I come?" And I'd want to go with them and go for that hour ride to Kenora. And yeah, and that happened for about a year and a half. I would just hope to see him. Sometimes I did, and sometimes I didn't. And when we did, it was just, very exciting for me, just to even get a glimpse of him. And then finally, after a year and a half of that, of just, not saying anything to anybody, just keeping all that inside tight without letting anybody know, this one weekend, it's this huge native hockey tournament in Kenora, where all the reserves in the area come and have this huge hockey tournament. And, Kenora is taken over by native people, and it's just, big party and big hockey, and it's just fun. So I knew he was going to be there, and because everybody goes. And so I was so excited, and this is where we finally get to meet. There's a whole hockey going, there's a hockey rink, and I'm walking, like, there's a lot of people, and he's walking, and I'm walking, and we're seeing each other, and we're like walking together, getting close, and it's getting awkward, and we stop, and he smiles, and I just walk away. Then I look back, and I was like, oh, and he was, he was defeated, and he was totally embarrassed, and and so I was just like, oh, geez, I really messed up. So I don't know. A couple of months later, I went to his reserve because there's a powwow, a gathering, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna try to hopefully see him again, and this time I won't do what I just did. And then we're at a party, and it's a big bonfire, and there's everybody around, just having a good time, singing songs. And we finally, actually get to talk, and we talk all night after almost 2 years of just looking at each other, around town. And finally we get to talk and, do, stuff. and after that, that was like the last times I saw him, because I moved to Toronto, come for my first year acting training. But the whole time I was here in Toronto, going to Humber College, I always had him in my mind. And I said, oh God, I want to see him again. And so I decided I want to make a theater position on his reserve because I had another theater friend there, so it just works out. So I did that. We got jobs there as doing theater there, and so I go home, and I work there, and for a couple weeks, I'm there for a couple weeks. So I'm driving around the reserve. His reserve is like really small, smaller than mine. It's like 500, and there's a few roads. So there's only a few places I can find him, right? And I don't see him anywhere. And and then I finally ask my friend, and then he says that he died. He passed away. And he said he killed himself, and he did it the day that I flew there. So I was a couple days late before. And I always asked myself. I said, if I was there, I mean, if he knew I was coming, because we didn't have no communication, we didn't have no Facebook, MySpace, and there's no internet on reserve yet at the time. And I said, and if he knew that I was coming, I wonder if he knew there would be a small chance of him not doing it, but I don't know, and I will never know. So, yeah, so that's the basis of my play, of that, and me taking the idea of two-spirited and my personal story, my very personal story, and combining the two, and sharing it, and sharing and telling this personal story in front of an audience every single night on the downstage Buddies Bad Times Theater. I'm putting my blood, sweat, and tears there in front of everybody, and I'm just vulnerable, bare, and and people do whatever with whatever I present. So throughout the run of my play, I just needed to just do what I needed to do, and just access my ancestors, my grandfather, because he's a storyteller, and just give them through me.